So yesterday we saw initial setup. Hive setup. I mean to say setting up Hive database and tables for not for using Oozie simple workflow. This is what we saw in the last session. Now we have to say now we have to create a partition. I mean to say I described yesterday, after ingesting, first we need to create Hive partition. That is our first job. Then run our prepare omnichar data. Prepare omnichar, which is Spark job 1. Then after that you run prepare sales data, which is our Spark job 2. Then you run map sales to session. That is our Spark job 2. Sorry, 3. So these are our jobs. This is Hive job. So one after the other, each of these jobs has to be run, and they had to run every hour of the day. Let's say at 7 o'clock we have to run this. At 8 o'clock we have to again run this. At 9 o'clock again we have to run all the set of jobs. To automate such things, in Oozie we have one more thing called as Oozie Coordinator job. It is just like a coordinator job means it's a coordinator workflow. So we know that simple workflow. We have talked about simple workflow yesterday. In simple workflow, there are two files are required. One is properties file. One more is workflow XML file. And I said that in properties file you will have all input parameters and configuration parameters. And in workflow XML, you define your job definition exists. We have seen this yesterday. That's a simple workflow. Now in case of coordinator workflow or coordination workflow, you have three files. One is coordination properties file. Then as usual, workflow properties file. One extra file it has, which is coordination properties file. And third one is workflow definition XML file. Just like we have workflow XML and workflow properties, this I will say this will call it as workflow properties file, and we have workflow XML file. In a similar fashion, here also we have those two files. Along with that, one extra file we have where you define the coordination. Where you define the coordination. So let's see how all these properties files and the workflow definition file looks like. I mean to say, here you specify in the coordination properties file, you you specify your input data sets. What should be the input data set for each job and for each hour of the day? I mean, for corresponding. I mean to say, so at 7 o'clock, what data it has to pick? It has to pick up 7 o'clock's data. At 8 o'clock, it has to pick 8 o'clock data. At 9 o'clock, it has to pick. I mean, the job which is running at 9 o'clock, they have to pick the 9 o'clock's data. So those is defined here. Input data sets for each job at specific time. It slightly takes a bit to digest these things because they are all in XML and they have a weird syntax. So just it will take some. I mean, it has a bit of a learning curve. I will try to explain as much as possible, but you have to go back and look into that once again so that it fits in your mind. And the other things remains as it is. Here you define the coordination between the jobs. Here you will have multiple job definition. In simple workflow, you will have only one job definition. Here you will have only single job definition. Here you will have multiple job definition. And how and the order of execution. Which job has to run first, after that which job has to run, and after that which job has to run. That order of execution will be specified here. And this, as usual, will contain input parameters and configurations. So that's the three files that we have for coordination job. Now let's see how those three files look like. So I have logged SSH to my EC2 instance, that is the name node service. Everything I have copied into my code drops. So there I have HDFS, And I mean, whatever I will be copying to HDFS file system, I have created in, I have it everything in the HDFS. Let's go to HDFS. So before we go there, let's first go to the local. Whatever will stay in the local, so those things we are keeping in the local. Here, these two files has to be in the local file system. From wherever you are doing a Spark submit. As usual, just like this should be in the local file system. The XML file will be in the HDFS file system. Similarly, this will also be in the HDFS file system. So you will see these two: coordination, properties.file, and workflow XML.file. So if I go to the local, earlier yesterday also I said that these are the only three scripts you have to worry about. These are I had used for testing purpose to test the individual jobs. So we have already set up the Hive table. We have already ingested the data. So only thing is to automate all our 4 jobs, 1 Hive jobs and 3 Spark jobs. So if I check that script, it is just a Oozie submit command. As usual, we are running that Oozie submit command. We have to specify the Oozie server where it is running. Only change that we have to do is specify the IP address of the name node service, because our Oozie server is also running on the name node service. Usually your Oozie server, as I said, I'm running all my Oozie server or a Hive server, Hive Metastore, Zookeeper server, everything is running here itself, just to save the cost. Otherwise, Oozie server will be running on a separate system. Hive server, Hive Metastore will be running on a separate system. Zookeeper could be running on a separate system. Since I am running Oozie server on the same system, I am specifying the same IP address. This is my name node's IP address. But this is my name node IP address, and 11,000 is the port. And as you can see, it uses Oozie Coordinator properties file. So as these properties file will remain in the local file system, so which is using Oozie Coordinator properties file. So let's see how this Oozie Coordinator properties file looks like. As I said, this is our normal properties file where we specify all the input parameters. I made a mistake here. I made a mistake, my mistake. This is not a properties file. You will have a workflow. Okay. A lot of things just got swapped things. Coordination XML file. Everything got messed up. Extremely sorry for that. And this also slightly, I mean, the functionality, whatever I said, everything remains fine. Only in which file it resides, that is different. We have coordinator XML file, coordinator properties file as usual will have this. Coordination XML file will have this. And these two will remain in the local. XML file will remain in the HDFS. I mean to say, XML file we have to copy to HDFS, and properties file we have to copy to. Properties file should remain in the local file system. Coordination XML file and workflow definition XML file, these two will be in the HDFS. These two will be in HDFS. Just to clear things, we have coordination properties file, coordination XML file, and we have workflow job definition XML file. Both XML file will be in HDFS. Coordination file through which you will start your job will be in the local file system. This contains multiple job definition and order of execution. Coordination XML file contains dataset definition for each job at a particular time, because on the timely basis will be run. This contains as usual input and configurations, input parameters and configurations. So we were seeing this file, and we know that this file resides in the local file system. So here it is. So as usual, input parameters and configuration like name node service, job tracker, which is my home directory, project directory, where are my data paths and all those things. So my omnichannel raw path is here, my sales raw path is here. Some other things what is required for our job I have specified. Along with that, we also need to specify the start time and the end time. I mean, we will be running this job. We want to start at 7 o'clock. I mean to say, I want to start it on 6/6/2018, 7 o'clock. I want to run it for a month, then it has to stop. So it will be 07/06/07/2018. So this will be your start time, this will be your end time. Because because it's an automated workflow, you have to specify the start time and the end time. So we will change this as we want to run it. Other than that, everything is fine here. Now here we are also saying where our coordination XML file exists. You need to always specify. We need to specify where our coordination XML file exists and our workflow XML file exists. we need to give the path since it is in the HDFS, and that's what we are doing. In our project directory, in the code, we had copied everything if you remember. Set up HDFS script we ran, so that copied all those things. So this is our coordination XML file. This is our data workflow definition XML file. So both we need to specify. Let's see first how our coordination XML file looks like. So we'll go to the main node service 7180. It's not coming. So clouded on. So from there we'll go to HDFS. Utilities, browse the file system. So we know that we have to go to this path. We know that our project directory is nothing but e-commerce marketing in the home directory. So we'll go to user. Our home directory is HD user. That we have e-commerce marketing, code, Oozie, and this is our coordinator XML file. Let's okay, it doesn't, from here we cannot browse the file. So for that we need to make use of Oozie. Oozie is much more flexible. Sorry, Hue is much more flexible. So I will go to HD user, e-commerce marketing, code, Oozie, schedule trigger retail, which is our coordination XML file. So this is how our coordination XML file looks like. So as you can see, it is not so easy to read here. I will show this on my local system itself. I will show this on my local system itself, because from my local system itself I copied to my HDFS. So it will be in HDFS, Oozie, schedule trigger. So this is how your coordination XML element looks like. So you whatever you specify your start time and the end time. I have opened one more session with my EC2 instance so that I can show both properties file and the XML file once again. Code drops, local. If you see, properties file is Oozie Coordinator properties. So we had specified the start time and the end time that we are using in our coordinator app. So this is how you specify. So that's where we are using our start time and end time, and our time zone is Indian Standard Time, Asia Calcutta. You can have UTC timestamp for a time zone, but here we are using our time zone. So here this is important. Data sets. We have a data sets XML element. What does this data set XML element say? In our coordination XML file, which we are looking into. So we have a dataset XML element. We have datasets XML elements. What it defines? So dataset XML elements defines how our data is structured. I mean to say, it this only defines how data is structured. So it is if you see, our data is structured like raw data. We have omnichar, and we have date, sorry, year, month, day, underscore 7 something. So it only defines how the data is structured, how the directory and subdirectories are structured. That's what it says. Raw data, sales data, 2018, month 6, day 5. So that's what it defines. It does not say that this will go as the input to your jobs. It will only define how your data set is, and input will be taken from this. It only defines how your input data is look like, we will say, or just how the data is structured. That's all. So if you see here, our data is structured. So we give data sets. So we have two data sets. One is our omnichar data sets, and one more is our sales data. We have a name for our omnichar data, and we have a name for our sales data. And okay, one more thing I forgot to say. Here frequency is 60. We specify start time and we specify end time. We also need to specify frequency. Frequency is in the terms of minutes. So 60 means 60 minutes, which means each 1 hour of the day, every hour of the day. The same way we are also saying, specifying how our data looks like. So this is our base URL. So if you see the base URL, so base URL is nothing but our project directory. Inside that we have data directory and raw. So I'm just taking the raw here. Just made it slightly reverse. So we have data directory, and we have raw. Similarly, We have data directory. We have, this is our e-commerce marketing project directory. This is our project directory. So we are just saying that our data looks in this fashion. For each hour of the day, it will be uh, to this is sales data. Similarly, you will have omnichannel data. Each hour of the day, you will have a different folder. So 2018 0605 underscore 9 so on. Similarly, here also we'll have 2018 0605 underscore 8, 2018 0605 underscore 9 and so on. So that's what data sets define. How our input data looks like, or how our data looks like. Sorry, my mistake. So that's what we are saying. This is how the data looks like for omnichannel. This is how the data looks like for sales data. So the frequency will be every 60 minutes. Next we have input events. Input events defines which data will be picked here. Which is the input events? Input events specifies what data will be picked from this data set. Which data will be picked from data set. So again, input events has, as I said, it's not so straightforward. They have made it a bit tricky here. So data sets we know. It defines how the data is structured. Then we have input events, XML element. So input events is out of this structure defined, whether this will be your input event for the job. I mean to say which one will be the input, whether this will be the input, whether this will be the input, whether this data will be the input. So that is what defined here. So that is what is defined here. So if you see, it also has got a name, input omnichannel and input sales. Now what do we mean by instance coordinator current of 0? So when I say current of 0, so what it means here is, so we start the job at 7 o'clock. If you start the job at 7 o'clock, current of 0 is 7. Current of 0 represents the data at 7 o'clock, 0605 underscore 7. Current of 1 represents 2018 0506 underscore 8. Current of 2 represents 2018 0605 underscore 9. So what they are trying to say you is the job which starts at 7 o'clock picks up current instance. The current instance is nothing but this. The job runs at 8 o'clock. It will pick up its current instance. Current of 0 is nothing but 2018 0605 underscore 8. So if you are starting at 8 o'clock, current instance at 8 o'clock is this, current of 0. If you are starting at 9 o'clock, your current instance, current 0th instance is this. I mean to say, if you are starting at 9 o'clock and you want to pick up 9 o'clock's data itself, so you say 2018 05 06 05 underscore 9. Now, if you want to pick, if you are starting at 7 o'clock and you want to pick up some other data, some other timing, you have to specify something like this. If you are starting at today and you want to pick last 1 week's of data minus 7, in term it should be in terms of minus 7 to current of 0. Last 7 hours of data you will get it. So if you are starting at 7 o'clock and if you say this is your input instance, so you will get last 7 hours of data. So those things we specify in this fashion. Now here we are just saying that input omnichar at 7 o'clock represents, I mean, it will be in this fashion. Input omnichar, which is the name of that, which is the name here. This is the name given to the input data. So what it says is it represents the data at each hour of the day. So at 7 o'clock it represents data raw omnichar 2018, month is 6, day is 5 underscore 7. At 8 o'clock it represents the same thing, only thing is underscore 8. So that's what it represents. Now what we have to do is, so this will go as input. When you run a job at 7 o'clock, this should be taken as the input. When we run the job at 8 o'clock, this should be taken as the input. And that's what we are doing. Similarly, we have it for sales. So we have our inputs. We can refer the inputs using input omnichar and input sales. So this defines how our data should be picked up. How the data should be picked up. And this defines which coordination action we have to start. So we have to start our workflow app path. So if you see workflow app path is nothing but our job definition. Prepare input. This is our actual job definition. So this job definition will be running. Every hour. This job definition will be running every hour of the day, 60 minutes. And what is the input to this? What is the input for this job, this coordination job? The input for this job is raw omnichar path, sales raw path, which we get it from our input events. So if you see our input events, name is this, and the same name we are using. Input events, we have input sales, so that's the same thing we are using, input sales. So omnichar raw path will be at 7 o'clock, it will be 7 o'clock's data, at 8 o'clock it will be 8 o'clock's data, so on. Also we want to pick the current date, and the date TS partition column we also need to get it. So we are getting again from our nominal time, and the format should be in the form of underscore RR, because our folders, everything is in the form of underscore R. So these things require a bit of an understanding. Actual time, format time, date time. So these are all the called as regular expressions in Oozie. So you have to go through these steps. Now let's see how our actual workflow looks like. So we defined our input data sets, how it looks like, which should be the input data. All the things are specified there. As I said, in the coordination XML file, we define data definition for each job at a particular time, which data has to be picked up. Next, we'll see our workflow job definition, how our each job looks like. So you will have multiple job definitions and the order of execution. So let's look into that. And which one is that? It is nothing but prepare input data.xml. So we have prepare input data.xml. So this is how our, earlier we had only set up Hive, only one job. Now here we are having multiple jobs. As I said, it starts from add Hive partition. So that's what we said, right? First we will run the Hive create partition job. After that we'll run omnichar. After that we'll run one more sales. After that we'll run the map session. And that's what we are doing here. First our job will be create Hive partition. As usual, we need to specify the job tracker, which is nothing but our resource manager, name node service, where our Hive server is running, where actually our, which script we have to run. To add a partition, we have to run this script. So again it exists in the HDFS. So I will just show it there itself. So I go to code, if I go to Hive. So we saw setup.hql. Similarly, we have, I think I should have renamed it as partition. Read Hive doesn't give better readability. The file name should have been changed. So we just say, if you want to add a partition, we say alter table name, add if not exist partition. What date? Earlier, if you see, when we ran this manually, we were hard coding the date. Now the date has to be picked appropriately. At 8 o'clock, at 7 o'clock, it should be 7 o'clock's data. At 7 o'clock, it should be the 7 o'clock date. At 8 o'clock, if you are running, it has to add partitions at 8 o'clock. So this again comes from our coordination XML file. So in the trigger, if you see coordination XML file, we have defined that date TS. So it comes in this file. So every hour of the day, that particular date TS will be coming. And that's what we are using in our first Hive partition. So we are using this script. Inside the script, we are using our actual date underscore TS. And location omnichar path also we have defined it. So that partition will be added. That partition will be. I mean, if it's 7 o'clock, you will have the omnichar raw path at 7 o'clock. It's data. So that will be added as a partition. So as soon as that job is over, so omnichar path also we are passing to the script. Date underscore TS also we are passing to the script. Now if the job completes successfully, we go to next job, which is nothing but prepare omnichar spark data, which is our next job. So it looks for where does that action exist, and it will go to this action. So there also we are specifying job tracker, name node service, our hive site.xml file path. This is nothing but our XML file path, hive site, where our because Spark has to access the data from hive. And we are our master is yard. We are running in the client mode. Our class name is, name is this. The complete path is this. Our jar file we have specified. The input to our program we need to specify which date. So hyphen date TS, and this comes from our coordinator XML file. And this is how you specify the where our jar file exists. A strange way of specifying where our actual jar file exists. So we know that we have kept our jar file in code Spark Ecommerce. I mean to say in our HDFS. In our HDFS we have kept it. Code Spark. There we have our e-commerce marketing. This jar file path we are, because our Spark program has to pick up that jar file. So we are specifying the complete path. And then we also need to specify hash. I don't know the reason for this. Otherwise it doesn't work. So that's our Spark job will run. So if you are running at 7 o'clock, it will pick the data only of 7 o'clock. If you are running at 8 o'clock, as soon as this runs at 8 o'clock, it will pick 8 o'clock's data. Because the date TS contains the complete path of the date underscore 8 underscore 9 underscore 10 something like that. Now once that is complete, we have go to prepare sales data, and the same thing we are specifying here. Prepare sales data. Now if you want to specify some extra driver we want CSV data source library, we can specify in this fashion. If you want to specify executor memory, driver memory, all those things you can specify in the Spark options XML element. Remaining other things remains as it is, and so on. As soon as the prepare sales data is over, we go to map session sales. As soon as map session sales is over, we go to cleanup. So in the cleanup, we delete the initial data. In the cleanup, we are just deleting whatever was our input data, so that we can copy the new data. So this is how our multi-job XML job definition XML element looks like, and also you can see the order. Start with Hive partition. As soon as it finishes, go to prepare omnichar. So this also defines the order. So this is what I was trying to say here. You define multiple jobs, and the order of execution, So let's run this script now. To run this script, what I will do is, since I had ingested the data yesterday, let's ingest the data once again so that we can show it like we are starting it now. So I will clear everything. So what we'll do is, so I will remove e-commerce marketing. I will run this setup. It will copy the code everything once again to HDFS. The Oozie code, the Spark code, the Hive code, everything is copied. Since I have deleted everything, let's initialize the let's ingest the data once again. I'll ingest the data once again. I mean, either you ingest it first or set up the Hive table. Doesn't make much difference. Usually we have to set up the Hive table. So as you can see, it is 02. Similarly, I will also set up the Hive table. If it exists, it will be running. Okay, yesterday's I did not shut down. So set up a Hive database and tables. So it has succeeded. So I'm just rerunning the yesterdays because I don't want the yesterdays to use. We'll start from the fresh. So we have our data. We have ingested the data. We have set up the table. Now we have to start it. So it has created a folder called _6 _2. So we can recheck that once again. If I go to the browser, e-commerce marketing data omnichar. In omnichar data, we have a subdirectory. So a table has been created at this level. Hive table has been created at this level, and we have ingested the data. Now this subdirectory inside this table, we know that Hive does not know anything about the subdirectory unless we say to the Hive that it is a partition. So as per our job, we will be saying that this subdirectory is the partition. So we'll run that script. Submit coordinator job. Oh, sorry, my mistake. Let's kill that. We did not change the start time. Go to dashboard, go to coordinators. Anyway, it is trying to So I did not give the date was, it took everything. The date start time was, I think, day before yesterday's. So every hour of the days it is day, from day before yesterday it will start. So since the data is not available from for every hour of the day from day before yesterday, it has failed. So let's stop this. My mistake. Let me kill these two. I will start it once again. Let's check what is the date there. So we'll give the start time. It is now UTC timestamp is 2:40 42 seconds. So we'll give 2:40. We'll start at 2:40. We'll give the start time as 40. So it is there in Oozie Coordinator dot properties. Let's give 2:40. And what is the day? So I forgot. 06/06/18. Yeah, as you can see, the start time was 04. Last 2 days, every hour of the day it is trying to run. So I will make it 06. Two 40. So we'll make our start time as 2:40. Submit the coordinator. So we started our coordinator. Let's go and check that all our coordinator. So our coordinator job is running. So if you click on this, so as you can see here, the just now we started. As a result, we have only one job, one instance of this coordinator job running. Earlier there were multiple instances because our start time was 4th of June. 4th of June. So as you can see here, our first Hive script has been run. It is successful. It added a partition. So you can also click on these actions. So once you go there, you can click on these actions. If you want to see if any failure happened, you can click on the logs. You can click on the logs. It will show the logs. Standard out log, standard error, sys logs. Everything you will get it here. So if you see here, in the logs it says alter table, this code has been run. So you can check each and every job's logs. If any error happens, you will see the error here itself. Next, our prepare omnichannel data job is running. Once that completes, prepare sales data job will run. Once that completes, map session sales job will run. Once that completes, we'll be deleting all the input data. So that's how you keep on. If you want to see, you can check the logs here. Any error happens, you will see the error here itself. So I hope our cluster is up and running. I did not check that. I hope every services is up. Yeah, every service is up and running, so it should. So 75% has been complete. Yeah, it is reading the file. Yeah, I think it is. Should be working fine because I have tested it. The display takes a bit time to show. I think it has finished. Is it throwing any error? We can also check the Yarn web UI. Prepare sales data, everything is finished actually. Yeah, it has prepare omnichannel data has finished. Yeah, it doesn't show sometimes here. Yeah, the problem is it doesn't. If you click on actions on this web UI, it doesn't show. But if you see here, it has already the prepare omnichannel data Spark job is done. Prepare sales data Spark job is done. Now the map session sales Spark job has to be run. So we were looking in this graph tab. Sometimes it doesn't show. If you see here, it shows that nothing happened on this job, but actually this job has finished. This web UI is slightly not showing. If you go to actions, you can see all the things are working. So this is how the Oozie Coordinator workflow happens. So as you can see, all the jobs have finished. Add partition job, prepare sale omnichannel data, prepare sales data, map session sales, and then we did a data. Now if you, this was 8 o'clock's job. Again at 9 o'clock it will run all these, but it should expect the data should be available. If the data is not available, it will wait for some time and it will stop. Again it will, and it will fail. Again it will be waiting for the 10 o'clock's data. So you can see that even though all these jobs are succeeded, if you go to the coordinators, the coordinator job is still running. One instance has run. 8 o'clock's instance has run. Next, the 9 o'clock's instance has to run. After that, 10 o'clock's instance has to run. So every time it will be running. So the first job, 8 o'clock's job is succeeded. Now 9 o'clock again one more job will start, and the whole actions will be repeated. Whole actions will be repeated. So I hope you got an idea of how these multi multi jobs are run. So that's what I wanted to discuss. So what I will do is whatever code drops I have put it in my, so this is the code drops. Whatever code drops I have it here, I will put on the Google Drive. So if at all you are setting up your own EC2 instance, only thing that you have to change is your name node IP address, public IP address, your name node's public IP address will change. So those things you have to change. So I will upload this code drops because it has most of the configuration already set. Only thing you have to change is the name node and the job trackers IP addresses. Otherwise everything will remain the same. So I will upload this to my Google Drive, and also I will put a small a document on this so that it will be helpful. I already have the document on how to install AWS, how to install Cloudera on AWS. You can refer that. So it is, so there is a folder called AWS, Cloudera AWS. You can go and check that. Installation. If you go to the installation, there is Cloudera AWS. So I have a document on how to set up the multi-node cluster on AWS. So you can use this. I will prepare one more document how to upload the file and start running the code. So that ends the training session. So I hope the things were clear. I hope the Oozie things were clear and how this scheduling things work on AWS using Oozie. I mean, Oozie is a bit tricky because it is based on XML, so it is a bit complicated. It takes a bit time to grasp and digest the concepts of Oozie. There is an alternative way called Airflow from Airbnb company. They have released Airflow. Airflow is a bit easy as compared to Oozie, but it is in Python, so you need to have a Python uh, coding background. But Airflow is a comparatively much easier than Oozie.
Ramon, can we specify somewhere if this job fails, then do another one or something like that? Like like an if or if condition.
The there will be retry happening because this is the Oozie server. It will just schedule the job on Yarn. So Yarn already has high availability of rescheduling the jobs. If it fails, it will reschedule that. It will try it for
Okay.
3 times. Otherwise, we have to go and check it. What is the failure?
I mean, like if there is some condition, like, and if it's like some condition true, then do this job, else do this job. Something like that is possible.
Something like that is dependent on the what I'm HDFS, Oozie. So your job will start here. Your job will start and it will wait until this input data is available. So these are the condition itself. These are kind of conditions. Your job will start if this file does not exist, it will fail. It will, I mean, that condition has to be met. This data should exist. Similarly, there are conditions on if a file exists, only then proceed. If the file does not exist, don't schedule the job. Such kind of conditions are there.
Yeah. Okay.
Like you can see, Oozie schedule based on file. So this is on the condition. If you want to do, you want to write a main Java application. I think this is the one that you were asking. So you can write the whole Oozie in your Java, and you can put all kinds of conditions when to start this job, when to start this job. Some conditions you can put it here.
Okay.
This I haven't tried. One second, not this one. This is not the one. This is Java main action. I think it's Oozie Java API for interacting with the Oozie workflow. So otherwise, these are the normal conditions you have: time triggered subflows, file triggered subflows, and dataset availability trigger. If you go through these three blocks, so how the job will, this the time triggered and the dataset triggered was what I showed now. Similarly, you can have file triggered. This is file triggered. If a file exists, only then that job will succeed. So if we see the structure here, so all these are MapReduce related stuff. Yeah, Oozie Coordinator, now we are here. So if you see our data sets, slightly it is different. So it is trigger. If this file exists, only start the job. If this file exists, so it's something called as done flag. So if this file exists, so you have to make sure that somehow from some other workflow, you have to, once your job is finished, you create this file. So only after this file exists, your next job will run. Such way you can put some conditions. So this is
Yeah,
helpful.
okay.
So similarly, you have data set. I have just discussed the data set availability and the time triggered also. So this will give you the Java way of scheduling your Oozie application. You can write your Java code itself. So you create your Oozie client, you specify all the configurations, so then you can run it here. So here you can specify some conditions, which job ID to run at which condition. I mean, here we ran it through here we ran it through some script. But if you want to still go ahead and automate that also, the next level if you want to do, so you can use the Java API. So I hope Atira that was clear.
Yeah, okay, fine.
I mean to say this is not so straightforward. I mean, but this blog
Yeah,
helps a lot. This blog is very good. Just go to this blog if you want to do more on the Oozie side.
okay. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, we will wind up the session here. Yesterday's video I have uploaded, and today's video also I will be uploading. It's here. I think I have shared this with everybody. 2nd April 2018. There I have e-commerce sessionization. So this is I hope everybody knows this, which is the local way of scheduling running each job and the explanation of the code. So AWS cluster yesterday's video is this. Today's video I will upload. Yeah, that ends the session. Thanks everybody. Uh, Good night and have a nice day, others. Thank you.